War movies of the 70s and 80s were famous for the gut-punch realism, brutality and production chaos that took place in remote jungles. Stanley Kubrick thought that making his movie on a British backlot would reduce the chance of disaster. Little did he know that he brought the echoes of the Vietnam War with him.
Are you shook up? Are you nervous? Sir, I am, sir! Do I make you nervous? Sir!
Full Metal Jacket is a 1987 war film by the legendary director Stanley Kubrick, based on the 1979 book The Short Timer. The story is essentially two parts. The first takes place at a boot camp training in South Carolina, then the latter half in Vietnam during the war.
Paris Island, South Carolina.
An essential viewing for war movies and Kubrick fans. And a different take on a pointlessness of war from Platoon or Apocalypse Now. One of the most interesting facts about the Full Metal Jacket is that the whole movie was shot in Britain. As Screen Rant and Mental Floss reported, even though Kubrick was American, he permanently moved to the UK during Lolita production in 1961. Apparently he wasn't keen on flying, and staying away from Hollywood drama suited him. So the question was how to recreate the two main locations, the Paris Island Marine Barracks and Vietnamese cities.
It's a derelict old gasworks in Beckton, not Vietnam exactly, but the next best thing for a movie director who doesn't like to fly.
The first was quite easy, as Bassingbourn Barracks in Cambridgeshire looked similar to Marine Boot Camp.
I am Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, your senior drill instructor. From now on, you will speak only when spoken to.
Barton Ridge Range, situated nearby, also featured. The range trained real soldiers, and some of the British Army recruits were cast as extras in the film. Kubrick also used Pinewood Studios stages to build interior locations like Stars and Stripes headquarters. I worked at Pinewood years ago, and the sets they can make there are unbelievable. But the second part, Vietnam, was more challenging, and the crew filmed in different locations, such as the Isle of Dogs. Norfolk Broads National Park transformed into the Mekong River.
Yes, sir! Yes, sir! Yes, sir!
And cliff marshlands in Kent starred as Vietnam's countryside, with 200 palm trees from Spain and some plastic plants from Hong Kong for authenticity.
In order to make it look even more like Vietnam, he flew in a bunch of palm trees.
By adding the palm trees, you really did get the sense of it very quickly that you were over there.
The trickiest part was recreating devastated Vietnamese cities, and according to Shortlist, the researchers used many shots of Hue City to make the location as real as possible. Beckton Gas Works in Newham was the chosen spot, as one of the appealing points was that the site was due to be demolished anyway, so Kubrick could do whatever he wanted to get the right look.
One of the biggest reasons he did the film was because there was this gasworks, this abandoned gasworks in East London called Beckton, and they were about to destroy it. But it had the same or very similar French architecture to the city of Hue.
Unfortunately, choosing a cozy UK instead of a jungle didn't mean there weren't issues on the set. And the biggest one was the health hazard at the Beckton Gas Works. Asbestos claims reported there was a reason why the plant, founded in 1879, was due to be demolished, as it produced many toxic chemicals like coal tar and crude benzol. When Kubrick took over the site and started to blow up the buildings to create authentic-looking Vietnamese cities, toxic dust with asbestos spread at the location.
And we got the permission to topple buildings because it was derelict anyway. That hasn't been used since after the First World War.
Crew and the cast shooting at the gasworks breathed in the particles, with the lead Matthew Modine saying that he developed a permanent cough since then. On the Real Blend podcast, he said, quote, "There was asbestos everywhere from the buildings that were knocked down. Nobody thought about it being something that was dangerous." Add to that, Cinemorgue says that allegedly one day a family of rabbits was accidentally killed, and it made Kubrick so upset he took the rest of the day off. In 1987, during an interview for Rolling Stone, Kubrick said that R. Lee Ermey, who played Gunnery Sergeant Hartman in the movie, was in a near-fatal car accident, and they had to stop the production for nearly 5 months. Quote, "He broke all his ribs on one side, just tremendous injuries, and he probably would have died except he was conscious and kept flashing his lights."
Lee had a very bad car accident last night and hit a tree. He was underneath the tree for 4.5 hours. You got the rollback.
Apparently, in some scenes, he doesn't move his left arm because of the pain from the accident. Everyone knew that Kubrick was a perfectionist and didn't stop until he got his perfect take.
Well, I talked to her while she was in this country, and I asked her about a rumour then strongly going the rounds that the meticulous Stanley Kubrick had made her do 127 takes of one of her scenes.
Well, I don't know, I think I'm supposed to say 18.
He didn't disappoint on Full Metal Jacket.
After the movie was over and I was being interviewed about the movie, and I said in a complimentary way that Stanley was a perfectionist. And Stanley called me from England. He called my house. "I'm not a perfectionist. I'm not a perfectionist. Why did you say I'm a perfectionist?" I said, "Stanley, you are a perfectionist. What do you think all those takes are?"
Even though people think that because of his approach, the movies took a lot longer to film, we can read in American Cinematographer that this is not entirely true. It was pre-production and planning that took much longer on Kubrick's projects, as he meticulously planned everything. Quote, "He's just as methodical in his prep as he is in his shooting. Sometimes his prep takes as long as his shooting, often longer." Yes, he took a lot of takes, but because he knew exactly what he wanted to capture.
Stanley likes actors that show up, know their lines, and don't bump into the furniture.
In another interview, Modine said that the actors had to go through a sort of a real boot camp, as Kubrick wanted an authentic exhaustion in a film.
All the actors, I think, were, to a man, very, very brave, because Stanley put them through it. He really did.
They had their heads shaved each week and got screamed at for up to 10 hours a day.
This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fighting, this is for my...
To get a taste of what real army recruits go through. You know, it definitely worked. They could have avoided it if they subscribed to this channel, and you can do it too. Kubrick also asked Vincent D'Onofrio, who played Pyle, to put on weight for the role. He did, gaining around 70 to 80 pounds, or around 36 kilos.
He asked me early on, would I be all right with gaining this weight? And, you know, I said yes, and then I went over there and I gained about 30 pounds, and I remember him seeing it and saying that I only looked like I could kick everybody's ass, so.
It apparently took him 7 months to do so.
How does somebody put 70 pounds on?
Hash and British food.
No, hold on a second. You mean?
The quick gain resulted in torn ligaments in his knees, and it took around 9 months to go back to his regular weight.
You had to gain 70 pounds to do this role.
Yes, I did.
And you had to lose it at the end.
Yeah.
Was that hard or easy?
Was to lose it. It was hard to take it off, yeah.
Yeah.
Serious commitment, yeah, but when Kubrick asks you to do something, you do it. According to Hollywood Reporter, Tim Colseri was cast as Gunnery Sergeant Hartman first. He then spent months rehearsing for the role, up to 12 hours a day, learning loads of new lines on the go and always being ready for a filming call. Quote, "I had to memorize so much dialogue that I couldn't sleep, and they sent me to a doctor." But at the same time, R. Lee Ermey, who was employed as a technical advisor on the film, also wanted this role. And apparently his quick improvisational skills impressed the director so much that after 8 months of prep, Colseri was out.
I interviewed all the background extras, and I interviewed these people as Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, knowing that that has to go to Stanley Kubrick. I worked it out where Stanley had to watch me be his drill instructor, whether he liked it or not.
Now, that didn't go down well with Colseri, so Kubrick got him playing the helicopter gunner, a much smaller role.
If you'd be interested in this idea, but I'd like you to stay on play the helicopter door gunner, which is a very powerful role, very powerful scene. Sincerely, Stanley Kubrick.
Okay, these are pitiful scraps, but at least it's something, right? Well, wrong again. Ruthless Kubrick cut Colseri's scene from the movie, and only after the lawyer got involved, he slotted it back in. As Colseri said, I went from the best role to a great role to no role.
I went from the best role in the movie to a great role in the movie to no role in the movie. What?
His scene as he shoots from the helicopter saying, "Get some," is now a classic. But as Colseri said, he went through hell to do that.
And at the end of the movie, it was a hell of a movie, and I got my whole name as a starring credit. It just made me want to cry, man. I was so happy that I got that respect.
Another argument was about the screenwriting credit. Kubrick got in touch with war correspondent and author Michael Herr to help him write the movie. But according to LAT magazine, at the same time, he also talked to Gustav Harsford, a soldier and writer who taught in Vietnam. They would talk over the phone and discuss the look and the feel of the project. Because it wasn't an official job, Kubrick and Herr didn't want to share the screenwriting credit with him. Harsford wasn't having any of it and started to visit the set, criticizing the look of the fake Vietnamese cities and the changes Kubrick made, but also pushing to get the acknowledgement. The studio wanted to put him as additional dialogue, but in the end he won the co-screenwriter credit. Full Metal Jacket premiered in June 1987, at first as a limited release. It quickly gained traction, making around $120 million on a budget quoted up to around $30 million. The movie was hailed as Kubrick's masterpiece, with Channel 4 voting it 5th greatest war film ever made. Empire put it at 457 on its list of the 500 greatest movies of all time, and The Guardian as 19th on its list as the 25 best action and war films of all time. It was nominated for many awards and is now comfortably placed among the classics of the late 21st century. You know, making this video reminded me of when I first watched Full Metal Jacket. And I agree, it is a war movie. That's fine. But like with other Kubrick's works, there is something else there. Underlying tension. Like, you wouldn't say it was like Saving Private Ryan or Dunkirk. It's dark but funny, and a very uncomfortable viewing at times. But that's what it makes it so great, and why we still talk about it nearly 40 years later. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Wow, baby, me so horny. Me so horny. Me love you long time.